This is KGW News at 11.
First tonight, huge lines and hours-long waits. The state has a new way to get money into the pockets of unemployed Oregonians. And on the first day of that new relief program, the need was clear. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Laurel Porter. Oregonians who are eligible for benefits and are still waiting to get paid can now apply for a one-time $500 stimulus check. This is under a new state program approved last month. It will use funds from the CARES Act. More than 500,000 people in Oregon have filed unemployment claims since the pandemic started. The state is partnering with banks and credit unions to send those checks out. They're asking people to make appointments, but many couldn't get one and can't afford to wait. So they showed up anyway. Catherine Cook has the story.
The line wrapped around and beyond the On Point Community Credit Union in Southeast Portland. Similar story to its North Portland branch.
It got kind of crazy kind of fast.
Hundreds of people compelled to wait shoulder to shoulder in the heat.
Well, hardship, pandemic hardship.
Hoping to receive a one-time $500 relief check from the state.
It would pay my car payment and put some food in the kitchen.
Like Venus Sullivan, those who may qualify for the check are facing financial hardship because of COVID-19 and are not receiving state unemployment benefits that they're owed. State lawmakers approved the $35 million program to provide the financial relief to qualified Oregonians on a first-come, first-served basis.
Everybody's kind of anxious about the pandemic and not working, and so I feel like when people hear free anything, it's like get there right now. As fast as you can, and I feel like that's what happened today.
The state partnered with 8 credit unions and 2 banks to distribute the checks.
It really is about people helping people. That's what credit unions are about.
Aaron Goff is president and CEO of Clackamas Federal Credit Union. He says they're distributing relief checks curbside and by appointment only.
It probably is a little slower this way than if we just opened up the doors and let everybody flood in, but obviously we weren't comfortable with that given the situation with COVID.
Citing a source close to the program, Goff says on Wednesday, credit unions and banks cut 13,000 checks. That's $6,500,000. Goff appreciates that the coming days will be critical for many other applicants.
I know people really are hard up for the money, but it just takes a little bit of time. So have patience with us, and we'll do our best to get it out there.
Back at On Point, there are tense moments as the crowd continues to wait. For Venus, it's been an hour and 45 minutes. Everyone here thinking of what $500 would mean to them now or in the future.
I'm actually going to save it for a rainy day, so I feel like it'll help long term more than anything.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And here's a look at the latest coronavirus numbers. Oregon reported 203 cases today and 11 deaths. That's high for a daily count, but the Oregon Health Authority says when you look at the entire week, deaths are a little lower than last week. Here's a look at the graph of daily case numbers, which has stayed steady and leveled off recently. And one other important metric that we're monitoring, the percentage of test results that are coming back positive remains steady. Out of all the COVID tests taken last week, 5.4% came back positive. Protests are continuing tonight in Portland, this time outside the ICE offices in the South Waterfront. Police have declared it a riot. Both federal officers and Portland police are in this area. Protesters have thrown objects at the officers. They have also moved fences into the street to block the road. Police fired back with less lethal rounds. This all started with a rally at Carruthers Park a few blocks north of here before the protesters marched over. We'll continue to monitor the situation. Police arrested this man, a Milwaukee man accused of firing a gun from his car at a protest downtown last weekend. Police say the shooter was 27-year-old Skylar Jernigan. He was part of a group of right-wing protesters downtown on Saturday that clashed with a group of counter-protesters. During a search warrant, police say they found the gun used in the shooting. Both Oregon Governor Brown and Washington Governor Inslee have declared a state of emergency over wildfires. Governor Brown says Oregon is facing an extreme fire danger right now. Red flag warnings have been issued. For instance, the White River fire is burning just south of Mount Hood. Cameras at Mount Hood Meadows captured it. You can see it here off in the distance. It started on Monday after a lightning strike. It has burned about 150 acres, but is not threatening any buildings. In Washington, there are several wildfires in the central and eastern part of the state, as well as the Olympic Peninsula. The declarations in both states will help get extra resources to firefighters. Let's send it over to Chief Meteorologist Matt Tofino now for a closer look at our fire danger. Matt.
Yeah, Laurel, I want to show you the picture or some imagery of the new fire that broke out in the gorge tonight, earlier this afternoon. It's called the 7 Mile Hill Fire, very close to the Mosier Creek fire, too. And you can see the smoke pouring out of that fire on the west side of the Dalles, this time last from our Skycam, and the Dalles on the Oregon Veterans Home. The good news about this fire is, though, only grew to about 100 acres, and it has been largely slowed. The forward progress has been slowed. There are evacuations in place, and it's about 30% contained, and the firefighters are going to work through the night. They are facing some wind out there, not so much on the west side of the gorge, but a little bit stronger Hood River and over to the Dalles. So there is still a breeze on that fire, but it is settling down a bit. The good news is this: there are no red flag warnings or fire weather warnings in Oregon or Washington at this time. So that's good. That means it's not as bad as it's been. Some great pictures for you, too, from the gorge. Firefighters in the gorge. This is from Scott McMullen on that 7 Mile Hill fire. You can see the firefighters there working the line, and the people who live in that area very appreciative of the work that they are doing. So kind of cool to see that. Okay, so here's what's ahead. Cooler, breezy in the gorge and in the Cascades tomorrow. And while we've got rain in our forecast in Portland, little or no rain, more likely no rain on the fires up there or over there. The weekend will be warm, but not as hot as it has been. So all in all, I think things are trending okay for fighting the fires in the gorge and around the state. Laurel, back to you.
Well, there's some good news there. Thank you, Matt. We'll check back with you in a few minutes for our forecast. There is a state of emergency over fires in California as well. Take a look at these images. Several are burning out of control in the Bay Area. Dozens of buildings have burned, and thousands of people have been forced to evacuate. Overall, more than 30 major fires are burning across the state, fueled by lightning strikes and record heat across much of the state. All of this has been complicated by the pandemic, which has made it harder to call in help from other areas. A Portland Jewish community center goes up in flames, and tonight federal officials from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives are investigating. Our Mike Benner found out this is the second fire at the Chabad of Southwest Portland in a matter of days.
A restoration crew spent Wednesday afternoon boarding up and securing Chabad of Southwest Portland as Rabbi Mati Wilhelm watched from across the street.
Just to see it like this is very, very painful.
The rabbi reacts to an overnight fire that badly damaged the place of prayer, study, and hospitality for the Jewish community. Just about the only thing he finds solace in is that the Torah scrolls were spared.
Thankfully, because of COVID, we had been closed from off our regular schedule, so we had removed the scrolls, and very, very happy and grateful that happened because they weren't here to experience that.
As for the cause of the fire, that's unclear. We connected with Lieutenant Rich Chapman of Portland Fire and Rescue. He says based on the progression of the fire and the time of night it happened, investigators are calling it suspicious.
They're not able to or not ready to say that this fire is arson. There's still a lot of different possibilities as to what caused this fire.
Adding to the mystery of this whole thing is the fact that there was another fire at this same location less than a week ago. We're told it started upstairs and was the result of an electrical malfunction.
They feel confident that's still the cause of that fire from just a few days ago. This one, though, that happened early this morning, they feel like maybe there's something more to the story.
Rabbi Wilhelm agrees, adding that he's grateful for the work of both local and federal law enforcement working the case.
They've been very professional. We have a lot of confidence in their competence.
Authorities are asking anyone with information about this fire or any other crimes in this Hillsdale neighborhood to give them a call. Reporting in Southwest Portland, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
We are continuing to follow changes with the U.S. Postal Service locally. We learned 7 mail sorting machines have been dismantled at the Portland Processing and Distribution Facility. That's according to employees who provided these photos. They were disconnected following a meeting between management and staff last Friday. Mail carriers we spoke with say they're worried about what this will do to mail deliveries in the coming months. There are also reports of machines being dismantled in Iowa, Michigan, and Maryland. The Postmaster General said yesterday further changes will be delayed until after the election amid concerns of the impact on mail-in voting.
I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America.
Tonight, Kamala Harris made history at the Democratic National Convention as the first woman of color to formally accept the vice presidential nomination for a major party. She laid out a vision for a country where people of all backgrounds are accepted. Harris and former President Obama both also sharply criticized President Trump.
Right now, we have a president who turns our tragedies into political weapons. Joe will be a president who turns our challenges into purpose.
He has shown no interest in putting in the work, no interest in finding common ground, no interest in using the awesome power of his office to help anyone but himself and his friends.
President Trump hit back on Twitter during the speech, questioning Obama's faith in a Biden campaign. This is all leading to the biggest moment of the convention. That's tomorrow, when Joe Biden officially accepts the Democratic nomination for president.